All right, so let's take this polynomial equation. We see that we do not have fractions, so it's not rational. We don't have any radicals, so it's not a radical equation, so we're not going to worry about the power property. Since this is a polynomial equation, we already know how many solutions to expect. And how many solutions do we expect? We expect 4 because that is the degree of the polynomial. Now, we could be overwhelmed by this because of x to the 4th until we see that x squared is exactly half of that, and then go to the constant term. So we might try factoring. How would you try to break down x to the 4th? You kind of split that guy up evenly, and you put half the factors here, so that's x squared, and the other half over here. And then we play the number game where we try to find factors of 6 that add to 7. And what are those factors? 6 and 1. What about your signs? To get a positive when you multiply, but a negative when you combine. Both must be negative. And then from here, this is an application right now of the zero factor theorem. Excuse me. So you would take x squared minus 6 is equal to 0. Or the other part, the other factor, x squared minus 1 is equal to 0. Once we get here, you can kind of block out what we just did and focus on these two guys right here. I don't need to worry about this big polynomial that it came from. I'm worried about taking each of these guys, these smaller equations, and solving them one at a time. So how would you solve this guy that's just x squared? You add 6 to the other side. And how do you undo the square? We use the square root property. Now remember, every time that I use the square root property, I have to remember what? Plus or minus. It goes back to the last problem that we had, and you're basically taking an even root of both sides. If you miss the plus or minus, you're going to be missing solutions. Can you break down 6 in such a way that it has a factor that's a perfect square? No, so we're just going to have x on the left plus or minus the square root of 6 on the right. How many solutions do we have from here? 2. This gives you 2 solutions out of how many we were supposed to have? 4. All right? Don't look at that and say that's just one solution. That's 2. On the other side, we do the same thing. We move the 1 to the other side, and then do what? Use that square root property. Every time you use that square root property, use a different colored pen or pencil. And as soon as you put the square root, as soon as you are the one who is injecting the square root into the problem, you must remember what? The plus or minus. Do not wait till the very end. Don't wait till your friends come over and remind you. You do it right away. So x equals plus or minus what? You don't want me to just leave the square root there? No, because the square root of 1 is 1. So here are our 2 other solutions. What do you guys think? We're supposed to have 4 solutions because of this. We've got 2 here. We've got 2 more here. Yeah, we're recording. We're live right now. And we're done.